Hello, everyone. I'm Andy, coming to you from the United Kingdom.
And I'm Scott, coming to you from Canada.
Hello, Scott, and welcome everyone to the Tea and Timbits podcast, global perspectives on business development to help you prosper. So, Scott, today we are going to talk about something that I know both you and I are quite passionate about, and we wanted to share with our listeners, and that is accountability partners.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I know you do have a story lined up for us, so I'm going to pass over the mantle to you and allow you to share this story with our listeners and me.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. It's wonderful to be here with you again. I thought I'd share a story about some business coaching that I was doing last week, and we were going through international expansion. And one of the things that I said was, listen, if you don't think about your new expansion market as a fundamentally new thing, you just need to tweak and adjust what you've put together in your domestic market that you already have working. I could sort of sense a lot of the people that we were talking with really felt like, oh my God, I have to fundamentally change something here in order to make this successful. And I said, well, how many people here have a sales process that they can talk, that they can show me? And there was about 6 or 7 businesses in this workshop, and nobody could. And okay. one person started to talk about how he knew what it was, but I was like, nope, doesn't count. You can't show it to me. And so it just reinforced for me the importance of making sure that everything you're doing is documented, written down, process oriented, and formalized. And it's not just a construct in your head. We could go on about, and we've done in the past episodes about sort of the value of all that, but saw that happen in real life, thought I'd be a good reminder about the importance of getting that all organized for yourself.
And would you say that this is something that applies to all of the processes in your business, not just your sales process?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there was somebody on the call who actually had a very process-oriented service business. Everything had a very discrete handoff, and he had a book of standard operating procedures for the delivery of that service. He did not, however, have a process in that book for how he does sales.
Okay. Yeah.
He had it for the delivery, did not have it for prospecting or nurturing or interacting with a new client.
Interesting. I think that actually leads us on quite nicely into our topic for today, which is related to the importance of accountability partners. Indeed. And I would just ask you very quickly, Scott, from your perspective, what would you like the listeners to get out of today's discussion around accountability partners? I know I've put you on the spot there, but I just want to hear your perspective.
I'll answer that by, again, tying it back to the story I just told, which is just making sure that you have that process and that structure in place. Well, that's one thing. But I said this to the group I was chatting with as well. They were working on filling out a planning template that they were given, and the last part of that template was a work plan. And it said, okay, now that you've thought about everything that is in here, what are the detailed steps you're going to go through to execute and implement? And it had, a spreadsheet basically of task and due date and resource and other dependencies that you needed. It was not very sophisticated, but it was there. And I said, this is the most important part of everything that you're putting into this template. So it's not knowing that you know how to do it. It's having somebody else there that you are accountable to make sure that they're keeping you honest on it. And it's all for the best of intention. So I hope that everybody takes away a reminder and goes and checks up on their existing structure for that, or starts to implement it.
Yeah. So I think that's it, is that really people get out of today feeling that there is a value in having accountability partners and the reason why.
Yes.
I think we've already started with the reason why, but
well, okay. So I did my bit, but what would you add to what I said about it?
No, as both you and I are in various accountability groups for various things.
In fact, how we met.
Yes, it is. In fact, how we met. Yes, many years ago now. But it is something that has been very valuable, and I do believe is very valuable for for maintaining focus, for driving things forward, for keeping the momentum going, and for ensuring that you deliver on the things that you have committed to yourself, to your business partners, to colleagues, to friends, to customers. Having someone else looking over your shoulder strangely seems to give motivation where as a grown up you shouldn't need it, but we all seem to
Exactly right.
still benefit from it.
I think that's the reason why people don't do this, is that they think they don't need it, or I am an accountable person. They think of themselves as someone who is highly dependable and reliable, and they don't need this kind of formality or structure. And I'm sure that in many cases that is true. However, I have gotten tremendous value out of just knowing that on Friday I have to show up and say I did it or I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
And no one's going to judge me. No one's going to say, well, what got out? I mean, I might sometimes say, I don't know why this is taking me so long, or how come I can't get to it. And then we sort of workshop ways to accomplish the avoided task. But most of the time, and that's usually because I solicit that input, but otherwise it's like, okay, all right, good, thank you for checking in, and then sort of knowing that it's going to roll around again and I'm going to be asked the same question is tons of motivation.
But that's the great thing about being part of a having an accountability partner or being part of an accountability group, is that even if people are very relaxed about it and allow you that flexibility and don't put too much pressure on you to ensure that you live up to the deliveries that you've committed to, mentally yourself, when you know that you have committed to do something by a certain time for someone else and someone else is going to ask you about it, that in itself is a good motivation, a good motivator to actually ensure that you do what it is that you said you were going to do.
So what do you think is the secret recipe for how many people to be in your accountability partner group? Is it just one other person? Is it several? And how often do you get together? And what's the agenda? So talk me through the mechanics that you have in your mind for how this works successfully.
Yeah, I think based on the experience I have of various accountability setups with a one-on-one through to large group setups, I think the optimal size is one of the groups that I'm a big fan of. Is just the four of us, and that means that pretty much once a month, one of us is going to be in the spotlight, showcasing the things that we were working on, talking about the subject that we were working on. But then you've got that ability to apply your knowledge and your skills to help and support the others for the other part of the month. So only really once a month are you in the spotlight, but it still keeps you fresh, it keeps you alive, and keeps you focused and motivated on your business and the success of the other people in your accountability group, because you're meeting on a weekly basis. And every month, everybody's going to be in the spotlight, and you're going to have to showcase what you have actually achieved during that month or between those meetings that you've had the opportunity to discuss those particular topics.
Yeah,
I think as well, it's important that that the people in the accountability group are from a similar sort of background. So I think if you have for us, it's more about people who are in business development and focused in that area. I think if you're in an operations or a finance role, then it's important that you're surrounded by other people who are similar sort of roles. Not necessarily all from the same company, not necessarily. In fact, I would say not from the same company, because I think having a diverse group from different industries, different backgrounds, it's where it keeps you fresh, and it's where it keeps you motivated, and where it keeps you on your toes, because you're having to think outside the box all the time, and then you can apply that in your own business, in your own life, and it becomes much more valuable.
Yes. And so I will add that I think that a lot of people will get accountability from their manager or their colleagues or something like that. And it's built into the structure of your business environment and the regular meetings that you otherwise had. And a lot of what I do for managing, the team that I work with are, weekly regular check-ins with them to talk about their deliverables. But why is the concept that we're talking about in this episode different from that?
That's an important part of the accountability group, is that it isn't part of the normal business hierarchy. It isn't focused on the day-to-day tasks within the business. It allows you to focus on larger things, on the more important tasks. Because if you're saying, I'm going to implement a new CRM by the end of March, right, you're going to start doing that. Well, hopefully you've already started doing it, because we're already in March now. But you have had the process in mind, and you're falling a little bit behind on launching it or getting it in place. If you're part of an accountability group that is going to hold you to account to do that, it doesn't make a big difference to your business, because if you launch that in April or if you launch it in May, it's only having an impact on the fact that you're continuing on doing things the way that you're already doing them. Mm-hmm. But if you have decided you want to achieve something, you feel that it is important for you to achieve, then it is something that you have committed to, and it is something that you are going to work towards. But it doesn't mean it takes away the importance of achieving your business goals on a day-to-day basis or working towards those things. So I think you can set the agenda a little bit differently when you're working in an accountability group, to focus on key topics and specific things that you believe you need help with, you need to work on, or that you feel you wouldn't otherwise achieve because they don't fit into the normal day-to-day stuff. They don't fit into the stuff that your manager or your colleagues or your customers are going to hold you accountable to, but you believe it is going to contribute in a positive way to making your day-to-day work successful. Did that make sense?
Yes, and I think sort of at the end you wrapped it up nicely. It's about some of the things that you can't necessarily get the support that you would otherwise get from the specific sort of more business routine. In an accountability group, I would suggest you can talk a little bit more freely and liberally about some of the challenges that you're facing, the personal experiences that you're having, that you may be more guarded to share if it's your boss or a colleague. And you may have other aspirations that you want to socialize and just sort of workshop with other people that are related to that business goal, or maybe it's a career development opportunity for you as well. So I think that having an outside perspective allows you to sort of shift focus and go, well, I'm not going to talk about the stuff that I know I've got well in hand. I'm not in an accountability group just to say the same things that I otherwise say in my Monday management check-in. I'm here to talk about different concepts, related things that I'm dealing with personally. I separately have different ambitions or goals to work towards, or there are broader challenges that I just need a little bit more structure, or I think structure would, with somebody else in my accountability group, would help with.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very valid and important point that you raised there, with the social aspect, the being able to talk freely, the being able to open up and discuss things that you don't necessarily want to say to your manager. I'm having trouble with this, or I'm struggling with this, or I'm going to work on this additional thing, or actually I'm looking at doing something different or developing a certain skill. Mm-hmm. And as you say, the importance and the value from building personal relationships as well is another factor that comes off the back of that in most cases, I believe.
Now, I've done this a few times with different people along the way, and I have had it work or not work in sort of varying degrees. Mm-hmm. So I find that when it works, you find those like-minded people who are equally personally motivated and equally value the benefit and the exploration that you get from that accountability group. When it has not worked out, I find that the group members are otherwise pretty self-sufficient, and kind of the value of the check-in sounded good, but wasn't needed, or just the value was missed. It wasn't appreciated for what it could become, or they don't. The other mistake that I think has happened, or shortcoming that has happened, is you don't treat that meeting with equal importance to the rest of your day. It's very easy for people to book over top of it. Oh, that's just an accountability check-in. I can take a client call, right? I think for a lot of us in our group, we try to keep that block of time reserved because it has a lot of importance. Doesn't mean we do it religiously. I've had to make some decisions sometimes myself, I know, to accommodate something I couldn't otherwise fit into my schedule, but that's the exception, not sort of the default.
Oh, that's right. And that's all part of the accountability as well, is being accountable to turn up at the accountability group. So.
Yeah. Well, I had a wonderful experience over the weekend because the other two members of our accountability group, Karen and Chris, who we've known for years as well now, are huge supporters. And Chris happened to be on a business trip and managed to work it so that he could have a layover in Toronto. It was a whopping 90 minutes. It was the first time we've met in person, and it was a delight just to make that happen. It was really, really fun. So, Chris, I know you're listening. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks very much for joining the call, Chris, and for bringing some of the joy from Germany to Canada.
Indeed. And Karen, we'll make it work as well. Looking forward to that day.
Absolutely.
So we want to wrap it up and sort of summarize the takeaways for us, Andy.
Absolutely, yes. I think today we've concluded that where we started at the beginning of this, the importance of accountability groups and partners does exist. I had the opinion that an accountability group should be around 4 members, larger ones, not necessarily as valuable as these smaller ones. I think we've both agreed as well that if you don't have the accountability group, you're going to miss opportunities to build new relationships and to develop yourself and keep yourself progressing. Yeah. Anything else I missed there, Scott?
I think it was a good one. Thanks for the chat, Andy. Appreciate it.
Been a pleasure. Speak to you again soon.
And if anybody wants to get in touch, you can always find us at tandtimbits.com. Thanks, everybody.